This is a rough cut that will eventually be made into a professional video. Can science predict if a child will make risky choices as an adult? What can we do to improve the odds? Does our child's emotional environment strongly predict their long-term well-being? It appears one of the biggest factors is the average amount of emotional safety that a child feels throughout their childhood. For every person a child meets, they view that person as somewhere on this spectrum. Someone is on the emotional threat side if it makes them nervous that that person might do something that will make their emotions suddenly plummet. Perhaps a child was harshly teased on the school bus a few months ago. Even though they aren't being teased today, they're emotionally threatened because they know they could get teased. This causes an unhealthy surge in the body chemical cortisol, and usually the threat will make them feel like a less important member of the group. A clerk at the grocery store might be perceived as a neutral. Someone on the emotional comfort side makes the child feel emotionally safe and secure, such as with a trusted best friend. When with them, the child gets a healthy surge of oxytocin and lets their guard down. They rarely worry that this person will say something that will suddenly hurt their feelings. Although every key person in your child's life will be on the spectrum, parents make the biggest impact. Here's a parent that was abusive or a drug addict, or maybe they were in prison. The child is worried something bad could happen at any moment. More commonly is a parent that is usually nice to the child, says I love you, but occasionally says something critical or sarcastic. The child is still nervous around them. They can't let down their guard. They're in an emotionally threatened state. Even if the parents are nice the vast majority of the time, the occasional emotional ambush of criticism, sarcasm, or by minimizing feelings leaves the child on alert. This is a parent that unintentionally makes the child feel unimportant. The child will report feeling invisible. Perhaps the parents rarely acknowledge the child when she comes home from school. We will explain later why feeling invisible is emotionally threatening, but the child subconsciously is nervous that the parent will do or say something that confirms the child is unimportant, which will cause the child's emotions to plummet. This is a parent who has a deep bond with the child. Perhaps they always notice and care when the child is upset. The child feels like the parent understands their feelings. They feel like the parent gets them. They feel safe and can be vulnerable. This parent doesn't have a deep bond with the child but would almost never emotionally ambush them. If they did, they would apologize or at least feel really bad about it. The parent may not know how to have a close relationship, but the child can tell the parent genuinely likes the child and wants them to be happy. But parents don't treat their kids the same, whether they admit that to themselves or not. Let's look at a family with two kids and see how the same mom causes a different emotional safety score for each of her two children. Let's first look at child 2. Perhaps the mom and child 2 are both introverts. They also have the same interests such as sports or fashion. Child 2 may be the easier child to parent. Child 1, on the other hand, may be an extrovert. This is less comfortable for mom, so she subconsciously distances herself from that child and spends more time with the other. Child 1 notices this and tries to get attention with negative behavior. The parent responds by criticizing the child and implying that they should act more like child 2. This causes the child to be flooded with negative emotions, and the child will feel even more emotionally threatened. This shows a major reason why child 2 goes on to make good choices and have high levels of well-being, while child 1 seems to struggle. It's pretty common for both parents to treat one sibling with more emotional safety than their sibling because they subconsciously prefer some of the traits of that child. Child 1 will feel excluded from the inner circle of the family and will reject many of the family's morals and beliefs. Of course, the child is around other people than just their parents. Child 1 from our last example has poor emotional safety from their parents and sibling, but has good emotional safety in other parts of her life, including from her best friend, a teacher, and as the star of the soccer team. However, the family members have a much larger impact, shown with larger dots, so this child is more likely to grow up and make risky choices. Where would your child place the people they spend the most time with? How can you improve their level of emotional comfort? We will show solutions in later modules, but even just mentally tracking it makes a big difference because you will subconsciously start changing your behavior to increase their emotional comfort. This will increase the odds that they will grow up and make wise choices.